What's up, guys? This is Nisi of Spoil Me Nisi back with another video. So tonight I'm going to be reviewing A Teacher episode 9, which premiered this evening at 12 o'clock a.m. on Hulu. Um, this was a very heavy episode, definitely the most heavy episode of the whole season. It all kind of came to a breaking point, just like the description of the show. Um, just to let you know, if you haven't seen the episode yet, this video will have some spoilers, just to get that out the way. So let's get into it. So in this episode, it switches back and forth from Claire to Eric. They both get, in my opinion, equal, camera time or story time, I guess. Um, you see both of them pretty much trying to move on with their lives, and both of them are struggling equally at this point. You know, Claire is struggling because she's really starting to understand that what she did was wrong, and that she really hurt people, and that she really destroyed, some good relationships with individuals. And Eric, on the other hand, he's starting to really understand, um, just how abusive Claire was, just how abusive his relationship with her was. And he's just starting to understand that he was abused, and that kind of all comes to a head, in this episode. During this episode, in the beginning, Claire was on a date with this guy, and the date seems to be going pretty well. Um, until they go back to his house. At first he seemed pretty open-minded when she showed him her ankle bracelet that she got because she went to jail. But then when it was time for them to have sex, while they were doing it, he called her all of these derogatory names, mentioned what she did with Eric. It was very disrespectful, very degrading. And at first, Claire reacted the way that I feel any woman would react. She kind of freaked out. You could tell in her face that, she almost felt sick. She couldn't believe what he was saying. But then it's almost like after a while, like something clicked in her head, and she wanted him to say it. She kind of got off on hearing those things about herself. Is it because deep down inside she knows that some of the things he was saying is true? I don't know, but um personally, I think that, and we'll talk more about this later on in this video, but personally, I think that because, Claire is accepting what she did, I think that she's slowly beginning to hate herself. And I think that that's the reason why, she wanted him to call her those names. You know, it almost seems as though she feels like she deserves to be talked to that way. And some people might feel like she does deserve that. Who knows? I'm not judging. I'm not judging that. Even as a viewer, I'm not judging. But it almost seems as though she feels like she deserves it. Even later on in the episode with that same gentleman, you know, um, some more things happen, and she ends up going to that same guy's house, as an escape. She's using sex as an escape. um, she asks the guy to hit her, and not like a slap on the tush. Like, she wants him to slap her in the face, and a slap in the face is one of the most disrespectful things that you can do to a person, but she wanted that, and he did it, and she wanted him to do it harder and harder to the point that he busted her lip. And even after she saw the blood, she wanted it more. And, the guy freaked out. She scared the hell out of the poor guy, and when he wouldn't do it again, it's almost as though, Claire just left. No emotion. She just got up and left, you know. Personally, I think that that shows that, Claire certainly does hate herself at this point, and she feels like she deserves the worst possible punishment for what she did. She barely got time in jail. She's on probation for a while, but she didn't get much of a punishment for what she did to Eric, and I think that, as the show goes on, she's really, I guess, wanting that punishment, which is a little odd, and I think that that shows that she does need therapy. She needs help, um, And then with Eric, one breaking point that showed that, Eric needs some help is, he was at a bar and, long story short, he met some girls. They try to push their friend off on him. He kind of makes a love connection with the friend. They're dancing on the dance floor and the girl just starts to, to cry, and Eric is a nice kid, so instead of walking away and being selfish, like, oh, I have my own problems, instead he decides to go and try to help her out, see what's going on. And it turns out, though, the woman is going through a similar situation to his. She just had a breakup, she's hurt, you know. But the parts that I thought were worth pointing out is that she says to him, you're way too young for me to date. He kind of smirks. Of course he's going to smirk because he just got out of a relationship with a woman that's probably older than her, but I think that scene let him know just how inappropriate his relationship was with Claire was, because a normal person under normal circumstances would not do what she did, and it was almost eye-opening for him, and then the girl was talking about how she just got out of a relationship, and it wasn't until the relationship ended that she realized just how unhappy she was in the relationship. And when the girl said this to him, you can see in his face that the girl took the words right out of his heart, Claire, not Claire, Eric thought that, he was happy when he was with Claire, but he really wasn't. If you remember from previous episodes, they would do their physical nastiness, and afterwards, Claire was always very emotionless, and Eric always seemed to be empty after. It seemed like it took a little bit from him each time. And I think that now that he and Claire are officially over, and he's out there dealing with different people, it's really starting to resonate with him that he wasn't happy with Claire. Their relationship was very inappropriate, and now that he's dealing with that, now he knows, he needs therapy. As a result of their relationship, he's in the college that he always wanted to go to, but he's flunking. He's on academic probation. He quit a fraternity, which is something that most people would love to get into. And then his relationship with his roommate is hanging on by a thread. He is really at his breaking point. Him not getting help is certainly affecting him in ways that could affect him for the rest of his life. One thing that I liked was at the end of the video, you see him with all his bags and he goes back home to his mom, pretty much letting her know that he needs help. So I'm guessing he's gonna get therapy or get whatever help that he needs to get. It almost seemed like maybe he dropped out of college, but they didn't say, so I don't want to assume. I hope not. Now, the breaking point for Claire was not really the situation that happened with the date. I believe that it was a situation that happened with her husband. Her husband pretty much let her know that he hated her. He didn't say it like that, but he can't even look at her. He asked her to leave. They ended up having, this conversation in which, of course, she said sorry because, I mean, what else is she supposed to say to him? And he just did not want to hear it. He is very upset with her, and, it's obvious that he hates her, which made her feel terrible inside, at the end of the episode, she ends up going back home, and her dad, tries to console her and help her, and she just kind of lets it out, that, her childhood, pretty much affected her life, you know. One thing that I thought was nice about her conversation with her dad is she didn't once blame her dad for what she did, but she did talk about how, she chose the career that she chose because she wanted to have a positive effect on kids' life and on kids' lives, and she screwed it up, you know. And she also implied that she wanted to kill herself. That's literally what she implied. And I haven't cried at any of the other episodes. Actually, I haven't cried from a show in a really long time. But this episode certainly had some tears coming down my face. You know, that conversation with Claire and her dad certainly hit my heartstrings a little bit. You know, while you're watching this show, if you haven't already gotten into it, I suggest you do. But while you're watching the show, you know, you'll notice that Claire is very emotionless. You know, she just does random weird stuff, and she never shows emotion. This is the first time the whole show that Claire has actually shown emotion. And I honestly do feel a little bad for her. You know, even though what she did was atrocious, it was terrible, you know, she does deserve punishment for what she did. At the same time, you know, she's a human, and I don't think that, you know, her character really meant to hurt anyone, but she did, you know, you know, she destroyed a kid's life, destroyed her husband's life, and she almost destroyed her husband's job. She destroyed not her husband, her brother's job, but she definitely destroyed her and her brother's relationship. It almost seems as though the only person she has in this world is her dad, and her dad is the one person that she's been trying to run away from. So I think that's interesting about the show. So all in all, I do believe that this was a very solid episode. Um, from what I hear, the next episode, episode 10, is going to be the last episode of the entire show. I did a little research, and from what I found is they're not coming out with a season two. But hey, I hope I'm wrong. I would hope they come out with a season two because the show is hot. You know, the subject matter might be uncomfortable, touchy, nasty. It's all those things. But I think the writers of the show do a really good job with the show. So I do hope they have a second season. But from my research, I don't think so. So I am excited for next week's episode. So next week, the final episode of the season airs on Tuesday at 12 o'clock a.m. So I'll be doing a video about that, God willing, at that time. I'll be doing some more videos this week as well. If you haven't already, subscribe and, you know, like and comment this video, share. Um, I hope you have a great night, and until next time, peace.